Hey, this is Megan with Teach Ag 101, and I tell you what, this video has been the bane of my existence for like 3 weeks. I had a video with my principal that got lost. I've already recorded this 3 times, so hopefully this one is the charm because I've about had a gutful. Anywho, today's video is a special request from a subscriber, and it is all the tips and tricks about how to fill out the resume and do the interviews and get that job that you want. I'll have notes down below so you can skip from one item to the next, whichever one fits you best. Alright, the job application itself. Step number 1 is to make sure that you actually fill out the application completely, 100%, like do your best work. That means your letters of reference are included. If there is a portfolio for you to show previous work or student work, you should have that included, and your references should also be included as well. Here's the main idea. If you can't take the time to fill out a job application and do it well, then why would you put any effort into actually doing the job once you have the job? So make sure you fill out your job application completely. Next step is to have someone proofread your job application. Our brains think way faster than our hands can type, and faster than we can speak. So a lot of times our head is already somewhere else, and our fingers are trying to catch up. So have someone quickly proofread. And if you've ever had to write a paper before, you already know that we have the tendency of when we read our own work that we will like fill in and skip and make stuff work in our brain even if it's not on the paper. So if you have someone else check out your work, they can find those little mini flaws and make sure that your application stands out. Next quick tip is to not wait until the very last minute to turn in your application. A lot of places have deadlines, which is a good thing because we'd never get anything done, right? But here's the thing, if you wait until the very end, you're going to be rushed, you're going to make mistakes, and you're not going to put your best foot forward. If you really want a job, make it a priority. Just get started. Next quick tip. Let's say that you didn't really get along with your cooperating teacher and you asked them to be a reference and a person who gives you a letter of recommendation. They are probably going to feel pretty awkward about it, and if they do tell you no, you better get someone else, then for sure get someone else and be thankful that they're actually being honest with you. If they do say that they'll do the letter of recommendation, which I've even been in that spot with students asking for a recommendation letter, it's super awkward to have to still talk to someone and interact with them. So sometimes it's easier to just say, yeah, I'll do the letter of recommendation, but then you're like, what am I going to write in this? This is a tip that some administrators do use. My administrator is one of those. And quick disclaimer while we're going at this, I am basing everything in this video on my own experience, on the experience of others around me, and after talking to administrators about the interview and the job application process. So take it for what it's worth. If someone asked me to give a letter of recommendation and I really am struggling with something to say about them, I'm going to say that I recommend the person, and then I'm going to write down facts about what they have done. Okay, they attended school for this many years, they've participated in these classes, they've participated in these competitions, these are their SAEs. I'm giving you facts, okay? If I'm trying to highly recommend someone, I say that. I highly recommend this person, and I expound more on their attributes, like that they get along well with others, or that they're driven. If they say they're going to do something, they get it done. One of the very best letters of recommendation that I personally ever received was one that stated that they would be honored if I would teach their own children. Like, I was so excited when I read that letter of recommendation, and I felt like I had worked really hard to earn that letter also. So, heads up on the letters. Now, here's the thing too. As a student teacher, you have a cooperating teacher, like that's standard in pretty much every single state. So if you go into a job interview and your cooperating teacher is not on the letter of references or included in your recommendation letters, a good principal is going to go digging anyway and ask you how your cooperating teacher was, how it was to work with them, and they're probably going to follow up and see what the experiences actually were like in the classroom. You want the cooperating teacher to be someone who's on your side. So try to remember that if you are just getting ready to go into student teaching. Alright, part number 2. Let's talk about the actual interview itself. Step number 1. I cannot encourage you enough. Please go to the Google and just ask it. Job interview questions. get the PDF that comes out. There are tons of general job interview questions. There are even ag teacher interview questions. Like, get some of them and have someone help you out, and not your kid's sister, okay? Like, get either your mentor teacher or someone else who works at your school or another student teacher that if you've got a buddy close by. Like, it's important to be able to go through your interview questions in your mind, get your thoughts organized, and then talk about it. The question, why should we hire you? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Like, you should have those things down. They're going to happen in an interview, so get ready for them. Now, I know that you are applying for more than one job, okay? Everyone's applying for more than one job. But you still need to take the time to find out about specific schools that you're going to attend and make it personal. Okay, because here is the biggest secret, probably the biggest secret of the whole video, is a job interview is not just about you, the student teacher who needs a job really, really bad because you have bills to pay. Okay, a job interview is actually a partnership between two of you. It is between the school. They have a responsibility to hire the best talent they can with the money that they have and the time that they have available to make sure that they serve their students, and it's your job to find a school that fits you. Okay, the job interview itself is hopefully trying to figure out how to get those two things to meet. You're going to find out in some interviews that you are just not the right fit. Maybe they even offer you the job. It's just not going to feel good. Okay, and other times they're going to take that choice for you because you don't fit their program. Okay, if you don't have any time to learn about their specific school, why should they hire you? Okay, take the time. Next tip. This one comes straight from our principal, and I wish I still had the audio, but here we go. If you get asked in an interview, tell me about your experience with PLCs. And interviewer number one says, I don't really know much about PLCs. End of conversation, okay? Versus person B who says, God, you know what, I'm really not familiar with PLCs, but I'm excited to learn about them. At least they're trying to answer the question. Next tip. Let's go to the state officer candidate or the chapter officer candidate who is trying to get a position on a team, because that's a pretty regular thing that we have to go through, right? Okay, if I ask a person, why do you want to be a state officer? And they say, what do they say? You already know the answer. Because FFA changed my life and I want to make a difference for other people, which is super great. But how are you making yourself stand out against the other 30 people who are applying for the position, right? So your job interview is the exact same for a student teacher. When they say, why should we hire you? It's not because I just love kids and everything's super great. Like, you need to have real life experiences to back that stuff up. Yes, you were a student teacher and you probably have a minimum amount of experience, but you still have experiences in the classroom. So if I ask you the question, tell me about your classroom management strategies, tell them about your classroom management and not just say, well, I really believe that all kids should have choices in my classroom. No, give them an example. What was a time in your classroom when you had a classroom management struggle and how did you deal with it? Find the examples. This is why going through the job interview paperwork and the questions is super important. Go through that paper and write down what your experiences are. What stories could you talk about? They do not have to be super, super long stories, but show them that you do have examples and experience in the questions that they're asking you for. Some of the questions that came in for this particular video, we're going to go through right now. So the first one is, as far as interview order, does the order in which candidates interview matter? The quick answer is no. The person who can answer the interview questions the best and has a good interview should get the job. Next question. Are there consistent characteristics you look for in a new hire? The answer is yes. They want to know that you're a go-getter, that you're a problem solver, that you try to figure out your own answers to things. So answering I don't know in an interview doesn't really help. Okay? Try to make sure that you've got an answer for everything. Next question. If someone is a terrible interviewer, straight up horrible, do you tell them or stop the interview and coach them? Now, I've heard this a couple of different ways. If a person is super, super terrible, some interview committees will stop you and actually pause and give you some encouragement. My own principal, their manner of dealing with this is to just stop the interview and say, hey, we're all people too. Usually try to tell a joke or something and get you to relax. One of the interview questions my principal likes to ask is, what are some things that you are excited about with our school? Or we talked about the PLC thing already. Like, how comfortable are you with PLCs? Have you used PLCs before? PLCs are a big deal in my state, and pretty much anyone I talk to, like, you're headed there. All right, let's talk about after the interview is over and you made it through and you've sweated through all of your interview clothes, but you made it. Okay, so now it's time to celebrate and go get a big old jug of caffeine, whatever your flavor is. Okay, a couple of questions that were asked. Number one is, do thank you notes affect the interview results? The answer is actually no. So that's a personal decision. I was taught to always send a thank you note to the interviewers. So if you're into thank you notes, do it, but the interview is not necessarily going to be swayed by a thank you note. They want to know if you are a competent person. Also in an interview, they want to know if you're willing to work as a team. Do you want to be part of the school culture? There are lots of extra jobs that are on our plates, whether that's taking tickets at a basketball game or chaperoning the junior prom. There's extra responsibilities, and it takes the whole school to help make sure that happens. So, are you willing to be a team player? Next question, why don't I get notified by HR if I wasn't hired? The quick answer is they're busy. They have a lot of jobs to get filled. They're still doing other interviews, plus taking care of the people who are already on the payroll. So, a lot of times they just don't have time. Now, my principal did say that if there are 3 candidates, or if you're in the top 3 candidates, she'll actually call you and tell you that you didn't get the job, but encourage you to apply again, or that you were really a great candidate. They just couldn't hire you at this time. Okay, so let's stop right there and let's talk about a couple of other situations that are real life situations. Okay, so number one scenario is you are competing for the job against someone who has more years of experience than you, and they got the job. Okay, here's the deal. Most of the time, if they have more experience than you and they've been doing a good job, they're going to get hired before you. And that doesn't mean that you're not a great teacher. It just means that they've already kind of gone through the paces and they figured out their teaching style, they figured out a lot of their curriculum, and they're able to hit the ground running. Whereas a new teacher, we all have to be a new teacher at some point, but a new teacher takes more training and more hands-on learning. Okay, it's overwhelming to be a new teacher, so if they can get someone with more experience, then they're better off most of the time. Okay, so most of the time they will pick the person who has more experience. If the school is offering concurrent enrollment classes or has a relationship with the local universities and you don't have a master's degree, that's probably going to put you behind the 8 ball as far as getting the job there. They're going to need someone who at least has a master's to fulfill the requirements to teach that. Now, if they can't find someone to work that position, then they'll probably put you on an extension program. But don't get too down if you get beat out by someone who has more. Side note, let's say that your mentor teacher wasn't super awesome or you didn't have the experience that you were expecting. You can learn something from everywhere you go. Whether that's with a super amazing mentor teacher, you can learn all of the great things to do. But if you have a poor experience, you can also learn the things not to do, which is just as important. Another question. I'm a new teacher trying to get a job in spring of 2020 and I'm worried about COVID. Are school soft closures affecting hiring timelines? Well, the short answer is yes. COVID has been affecting everything. All of our timelines are messed up. So I didn't know this until I went in to do this interview with my principal, but our school district actually doesn't know how many people they're going to hire right out of the gate when all of the job fairs are happening. So the job fairs are usually happening in February and March, and for our district, we don't learn what we're going to be hiring for until April, first part of April. So for COVID, it's actually been a benefit for our school district because a lot of times all of the prime candidates have already been hired from the job fairs. So by the time we can offer any jobs, a lot of those people are already gone. And with COVID, we kind of were on the same playing field for job applicants. My school was hiring. I'm recording this on May 27th. Our school was hiring and doing job interviews last week still. So it's not too late to get a job, okay? And full disclosure, wow. When I got out of college, I thought I was the shiz because I won some stupid award in college, and I had a couple of minors under my belt. Like, I felt prepared. I have a really strong FFA background and SAEs, so like I felt like I could kick this pig. Anywho, I ended up driving like all over my whole state, in 2 neighboring states. That's all I did for 4 months, okay? I was the person who got to stand up at summer conference when they're introducing all of the new teachers, and everyone gets to stand up and be all super proud and say, hey, my name's so-and-so and I'm teaching here, and everyone's excited for you. I was the only person in my whole cohort that had to stand up and say, hey, my name's Megan and I'm still looking for a job. Okay, so embarrassed. I was mortified, so mortified. Anyway, finally ended up getting a job the last week of July, and school started 2 weeks after that. Like, I was doing plan B. I was like, what else am I going to do for the next year? Feeling super down about myself and my abilities, and wondering if, like, pretty much questioning my whole college existence. Is this actually the job for me? Okay, so I did not get hired until the very, very end of the summer. Okay, super embarrassed. But I will say this, and if you are not hired yet, like, there are good things out there for you, okay? I would not have learned all of the things that I needed to learn if I had gotten any of the jobs that I had wanted before, okay? I ended up in a different state, and it was a neighboring state, and we still have pretty similar values in the ways that we run competitions and stuff, but I learned a lot of things at that state that I would not have learned in my home state. Also, I believe in God, okay? And if you don't, then you just skip right on past this part, or if you're going to get upset, like, don't send me a note because I'm not going to read it, okay? But there is a place for you out there, and God has a purpose for your life. And I know, looking back, hindsight, that I learned the things at that first job that I needed to learn to help me to be successful and to build the foundation of my career for where I'm at right now. I would not have learned those things anywhere else. I'm so, so grateful that he shut all those doors for me so that I couldn't get a job where I thought I should be, and he put me in the place where I was supposed to be. So, just a little tidbit there. If you have not gotten a job yet, a couple of things to think about. Are you willing to move? I was not planning on moving. I ended up moving 8 hours away from my hometown, and it was the best thing I ever did. Some words of wisdom from my own mentor teacher, Miss Carrie Covelo from Mountain View, Wyoming. She told me that I could do anything for a year. So if you don't have a job yet, think about places that do have job openings. Those kids need an ag teacher. If they can't get an ag teacher, those ag teaching positions are getting shut down. They need someone. Like, can you go serve those kids, and can you do it for a year? The answer is yes. You can do anything for a year. So think about it. Maybe check out another state. There's some pretty awesome stuff happening around your neighbors. If relocating is not an option for you, then maybe think about how you could, like, build up the skills you already have. So if you're not super strong in the animal science section, like, go try to find a job in the animal industry. Or if you're not super great in the shop, like, go find yourself a shop to go get some work experience in. If you can substitute teach, like, that's great. At least it's in the classroom, but we all know that substituting, especially if it's short term, substituting is not going to give you all of the necessary skills that you're going to need. Try volunteering with an ag program on the side. Get your name out there. The more connections you make with people, the better chance you have of people hearing about you. Guarantee you, your mentor teacher and the principal at your school that you were student teaching at, like, they know a little bit about you. So when you go for the job interviews, they can be either a resource for you or a hindrance. Make sure that they are a resource for you. So that's the end of the video. I wish you the best of luck when you're trying to get a job. If you have any other topics you'd like to talk about with Teach Ag, send me a quick email or put it in the comment section below, and we'll get on the next video. And I'll talk to you soon.